Mike Kelley is one of the most in-demand keyboard players working in the 518 area. Whether it be a rockabilly band, a blues band, a roots band, a recording session, gospel stylings, or a cocktail hour or more, keyboardist, vocalist Mike Kelley will bring the right sounds to the occasion. He has been working in our area professionally since the 1970s and has created quite a musical legacy and reputation for himself. In the early 80s, Mike was a founding member of the popular Albany, New York band, The Sharks. They were a 7-piece band with a 3-piece horn section that recorded 5 albums and gigged tirelessly for 12 years. Mike Kelley was a major songwriter as well as vocalist and keyboardist with The Sharks. The Sharks shared stages with Stevie Ray Vaughan, Little Feat, Tower of Power, and other big-name national acts at the time. After The Sharks, Mike Kelley accepted an invitation to join up with Blotto, a group from Albany who achieved national acclaim back in the 1980s with a mix of rock and humor, best encompassed in their song, I Want to Be a Lifeguard. Also at that time, Mike did a stint with the Albany area-based blues man Ernie Williams and got to open for B.B. King and Aretha Franklin. After this phase of Mike's career, he became somewhat of a keyboard player for hire. Along with his own trio called Circle of Willis, he performed with rockabilly artists such as Wanda Jackson, the Luster Kings, Johnny Rabb, Graham Teachy, John Cribbs, and more of a blues and R&B context with Night Train, Soul Provider, and Delta Blues. Being the versatile musician Mike Kelley is, he also plays in a New Orleans funk-based band called Double B and a New Orleans Drive-By, and in a folk style with the Lost Radio Rounders. He performs jug band music with the Ramblin' Jug Stompers, and over the last few years he has had the opportunity to play with guitarist Todd Nelson and his group NEQ. Along with Todd, Mike also backed Lonesome Val and played a Fear of Strangers reunion. Some of Mike's more notable recording sessions in recent times have been with Joan Jett and also with the Weasels. Mike is having a lot of success with a new project called the Hammerhead Horns, a band comprised of himself singing and playing piano, and is joined by his old bandmates from the Sharks, Bob Button on trumpet and voice, and Jeff Roberts on trombone and tuba, and Bob Assini on cocktail drums and spoons. They specialize in playing old-timey blues, ragtime, Dixieland, and gospel. Whether the job calls for a jazzy Jimmy Smith style of organ, a 1960s Farfisa organ sound, or a Dr. John style of piano playing, Mike Kelley will deliver the musical goods, not to mention his vocal and songwriting skills. As a musician, I'm always delighted when I get to share the bandstand with this stellar talent from our 518 area.
And the next it's something else. How can I give you what you want, girl? When you don't know yourself. You know I tried and tried. No matter what I do, you're never satisfied. Some things I miss, won't you give me a clue? Tell me what it takes to get through to you. One day it's one thing, but next it's something else. How can I give you what you want, girl? When you don't know yourself. Now I'm determined to stick to my dreams, but it's getting harder coming up with new schemes. I've already been through plans A to Z, and my imagination's drying up on me, yeah. How can I give you what you want, girl? One day it's one thing and the next it's something else. How can I give you what you want, girl? When you don't know yourself. And when I dream, baby, I dream about you. And I've been trying communication at all. Am I getting warmer? Am I moving too fast? Give me some direction, girl, that's all I ask, yeah. How can I give you what you want, girl? One day it's one thing and the next is something else. How can I give you what you want, girl? When you don't know, you don't know. How can I give you what you want? How can I give you what you want, girl? How can I give you what you want? I'm talking to you. How can I give you what you want? How can I give you what you want, little girl? How can I give you what you want? Yeah, yeah, yeah. How can I give you what you want? How can I, I'm not too good at doing this. I never could get the hang of it. Oh no, oh no. But would you come out with me? It'll be fun just to wait and see. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I can take you to a movie show. Please say that you wanna go. Please say yes. What could it hurt? It took me so long just to get up my nerve. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We can go for a walk in the moonlight. Please say that it's alright. We'll go walking hand in hand, and everyone will look at us and smile. Oh yeah. We'll go dancing to a real live band, and everyone will point and say that style. Yeah. We can go and grab a bite. I'll take you to your favorite restaurant. Oh yeah. Forget about the price. I'll let you order anything you want. Now I can pick you up 8:30. We'll do it upright. It's gonna be great. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Pardon me, dear. What did you say? Washing your hair, baby, that's okay. Oh yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I understand how it can be. Maybe I'll try again next week.
Mike Kelley, thanks for sharing your time and music with Empire Radio Sounds. You're one of the most in-demand keyboard players in our 518 area, and rightfully so. It seems we keep crossing each other's paths, sometimes in three different bands within a month. I would like to start with a look at your contributions to the Sharks. As a saxophone sub for the late Tom D'Ambrose in the Sharks' recent reunion gig, I was quite impressed by the songwriting that you, Bob Button, and the guitar player had contributed. I forgot his name for a moment here.
Jerry Yarrow.
Sorry, say it again.
Jerry Yarrow.
Oh, okay, thank you. Anyhow, all your songwriting was great. So I truly believe the Sharks had something unique for that time era. Could you share some of your reflections about the songs you wrote and the whole experience of a band doing original material and what that entails in those days now that we are a bit removed time-wise from that? Kind of a long question.
It is. Well, no, that's fine. We found it necessary to write our own songs. It wasn't some sort of divine intervention. It was very important that we kept up with the other bands of the time, and there was a lot of original music being written, a lot of good stuff. So we worked really hard at it. It wasn't something that we really set out to do, but that's how the world was, and that's how music was, at least in the pop world in Albany.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do what we could, and some of it came out okay, I'll say. And
oh yeah,
hey,
wonderful music. It really is. I was impressed. The whole experience was, I know it must have been surreal for you guys to come back after all that time, and for me it was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we can get back to the Sharks a little bit later and about songwriting. But my next question then is, so perhaps you could tell me a little about your time with Blotto, which was after the Sharks.
Right. Yeah. They're very funny, very fun, very good.
Yeah.
They were doing very good band. It's an honor to be asked to play with them, and I did my best to just fill in. And they named me Hammerhead Blotto, so that name would resurface in later, incarnations. Yeah, they were great guys. First of all, I just played golf with Bowtie yesterday. Still have a nice relationship. I talk to Broadway on the phone now and then, and we send emails back and forth. And Paul Rapp too. They're all great guys.
What was the idea behind the nicknames? Anything in particular, or they just thought it was all funny?
Yeah, well, they came from a jug band, so they kind of had their own the Star Spangled Watchboard band. So they had these kind of pseudonyms all ready to go. They tweaked them a little bit, Sarge them, but they all kind of were playing that game. So anybody who joined the band had to have some sort of first name and last name. Anyway, Broadway decided I would be Hammerhead. I thought of all the Sharks, that's got to be the ugliest of them all. What's wrong with Great White Blotto? But I guess I'll tell you just as well if he didn't call me that.
It was been Bull Shark Blotto, or
anything. But yeah, they were fun and really good, and they real showbiz guys. They really got it.
Yeah. Okay, well, that brings me to my next question. After that part of your career, obviously, I did a little bit of research on your career here. After that part of your career, you worked several well-known rockabilly artists, originally in the 518 area, such as your T-shirt here, the Luster Kings.
I know.
Who, thank you so much again for helping hook me up with them, because I'm having a ball working with those guys.
You're doing great.
They're a lot of fun. And so you also had worked with Johnny Rabb, Graham Tichy and others. As a keyboard player, what sort of things do you do to prepare for those type of gigs, these rockabilly type gigs?
Well, a lot of them are pretty free. They're not that demanding, so it's not a lot of. Luckily, I came from blues, and it applies to that music very easily. Yeah. So I can sort of kind of go with the flow. They're very easy to fall in with. There are other groups that are more demanding as far as specific parts and such, but that stuff you're pretty free to just feel the music and go with it. And and I've gotten pretty good at that over the years. So that's why I guess that, and being very lucky to get in the first place. Yeah,
Well,
that they're very easy and fun to play with, those guys, and they're all really great. Graham I just played with him last week. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I completely agree on that, and I think you said it with the blues background. That really fits, especially the rockabilly thing. But it's a good basis to come from. Okay, well, as I was reading through your things, what sort of music in this? I don't know anything about this particular band. Circle of Willis focus on.
That's my trio with Bob Cassini, the shark drummer, and a violinist named Nelson Rock, who lives in Plattsburgh, which is not very convenient. Not very conducive to gigging, but he comes around. We have 3 coming up later this month, and it's kind of a roots. There's Cajun, country, Celtic, old rock and roll, just interesting versions of tunes that people might know. We put our own twist on it. It's very, very organic. And he's a wild man on the fiddle, so he'll run around the room.
Oh, really?
Very, very animated fellow, Nelson. And
really,
it's good. I mean, people seem to like it, and we get booked every St. Patrick's Day. They think we're an Irish band. We do some jigs and reels, but we're really not. It's very. I know the term roots gets tossed around easily these days, but I don't know what else to call it. It's kind of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to check that band out. That sounds like a lot of fun to watch. I know you do some ukulele playing as well as keyboards. What drew you to that instrument?
What did actually? I'm not sure. I got one for Christmas one year, and I said, "Okay, I'll learn this thing. It's really not that tricky. I think everyone should own a ukulele." Somebody told me this. I didn't make this up. If everybody owned a ukulele, there would be no more war. I don't know if that's true. I envision people bashing each other over the head with ukuleles, but that's just me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The everyman instrument, huh?
Yeah, right. No, it's like peaceful. You can sit down and just kind of just strum and float away. They're just the wonderful, peaceful, lovely little instruments. I love them.
Well, and you can take them anywhere, right?
Oh, that's right.
It's like having a chihuahua.
Right, they really are.
Okay. Well, I'm a
little obsessed. I'm like, they're like cats with me. I have like 9 now. I've got to stop. I need to see somebody, I think, about my session with me.
Well, it is related to the guitar somewhat, and we know what that illness is about.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, could you share with us how the call came about to record with Joan Jett, and how that recording session went?
Another word that gets tossed around easily these days is surreal, but that absolutely describes this situation. I was playing with the Lester Kings in Maplewood, New Jersey, and we were backing up Wanda Jackson, the queen of rockabilly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, that's enough right there, huh? I mean, anyway, the gig went well, I'd say, but that wasn't the point. The point was that in the audience that night was Joan Jett and her manager, Kenny Laguna, who been with her forever.
Cool.
And they were there to see Wanda because they were planning on a Wanda Jackson album, a kind of a collaborative album with a lot of different people, the young people, good singers of the day, who I must admit I didn't know a lot of them because I'm really kind of out of touch with the modern world, it just turns out. But yeah, so anyway, they were there to hear her. And when the show was over, this lovely young woman came up to me with a card and said, "Joan would love for you to reach out to her." I'm thinking, okay, sure she would. But it was like a really cool Black Hearts card. And I think, oh, I'm going to show everybody this thing.
Yeah.
And I figured that was the end of it. That was good enough for me. And quite a bit of time went by, maybe a year or so. I get a call from a guy named Ed Sargent, who was Joan Jett's road manager. Nice guy. Asking me if I would consider going down to New York to record 5 tunes for the new record, the Wanda Jackson record. with Joan. I was like, sure.
Yeah.
No, next thing I know, I'm driving down. They sent me up these MP3s, no vocal reference on there, just kind of a series of chord changes. I kind of mapped it out, said, okay, here goes nothing. And I drove down to New York, but they couldn't find a piano player in all of New York City, apparently, to do this thing. So there I am, walking in like the country mouse, in the big city. It was so, but I'd say I did a good job.
I'm sure you did.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, she heard something, like we all do. That I know you're modest about it, but
yes,
man,
you know what? I've been very lucky, Marcus. There's no doubt about that. I've had good work along the way for sure.
So was Joan Jett at the studio, or were you just doing?
Yeah, she was there.
Oh, okay. So she was there singing when you
signed a CD for my daughter-in-law. She still has it.
Oh, nice, nice, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that must I can see why she would hire you. Well, heartbeat. You got a good handle on a lot of different things. Could you tell us a little bit about your intentions behind your latest crew, the Hammerhead Sharks?
Hammerhead Horns.
My mistake. Yep. Hammerhead Horns.
Okay, that's all right. Yep. It's funny because Bob Button, and Bob, we played together with Bob. Called me, and there was going to be a street festival in Millbrook where he now lives. Yeah. And asked me if I could throw together a group. I'm thinking, and I started kicking this idea around for a while anyway. I'm thinking, you know what? I think we could do just like some old time blues. I mean, like 20s and 30s and up, but the real pure stuff with just piano, a little drums kit, like a cocktail kit, and a couple of horns. And I knew Bob would be in on it, and I was thinking of Jeff all along. But then I figured, well, Bob's busy, promoting this thing and organizing it all. But I asked him anyway if he'd be interested in playing trumpet with us, and he said he would. And it just clicked. It's one of those deals where I thought it would be good. And it is good, and it's turned out to be more than just good. It's turned out to be catching on like wildfire. People are calling for gigs, and
wonderful,
really digging it. It's really working, and it's like, go figure, right? It's another lucky break in my series of good luck.
You really got a crew of all stars there, though. I mean, Bob Bassini is just a fantastic drummer.
Yeah,
and Jeff. I mean, I've worked with all these guys, as you know, and there's not a slacker in the crowd, man. I mean,
but it's not even the virtuosity, if I can use that term. I'm not necessarily using it, but it's more of just the fun aspect and the looseness of it, and it's just this whole vibe that people just seem to really get and enjoy. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that right now, and it's easy to play. There's not a lot of wires and a lot of it's a piano, a cocktail kit. The drummer's the only guy in the group that stands. Everyone else is sitting down. It's just, we could set up on a street corner or a corner or any room, not take up a lot of space, and it's an instant party.
I like that instant party. You might have a hook there for that. Maybe. Your instant party, the Hammerhead Horns.
I'm not sure that's mine, but.
Yeah, right. Here's a two-part question. When you write your own songs, how do you go about it? And the second part of that question is, what do you think makes a song have staying power? Certain songs are just kind of iconic.
I'm a melody guy. You can figure out the exact right combination of notes to make people remember and hum along. That's not a bad thing. Yeah. So if you can get that, which is, believe me, hard to do. I've tried a lot of times and probably never succeeded, but come close now and then. That's first. Lyrically, if I can come up with a clever turn of phrase here and there, or just maybe a different outlook on a subject that's been done a million times before. I'm not any kind of prolific writer. I don't claim to be. But if you can make something as less cliche as you can get away with, and still, and combine that with a good solid melody, and a nice song construction. You know, it's just this basic stuff. But if you can do what the good guys have done, what the Beatles did, if you like write a Beatles song, but I mean, use that as a blueprint, as a
Sure.
then that's kind of my approach to it, and we'll see what happens at the end. And you know what? It starts out as one thing and ends up as something completely different.
Yeah.
And you could be working with a band, and it's always for the better. Somebody will come up with a great idea. I can't tell you how many songs Jerry bailed out of mine that Jerry just bailed out and really made so much better with his ideas, and vice versa probably too. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right about that. Even in instrumental music, any recording session I've ever done over the years, somebody was going to bring something that I never thought of.
Sure,
and
of course,
it makes
yes.
it all happen. It's interesting how that chemistry happens when you get people in a studio.
They hear things, they've got their own ears, and that's great. Collaboration is a great thing.
It is, and I'm afraid it's there's less of it nowadays with so many machines. And I myself am guilty of it.
No, I'm an old guy too, Mark. I know.
Well, studio time can be expensive, but we seem to have a pretty good barter system among many of us. But it can be expensive, so that is a little prohibitive. But going onward here, having worked in the 518 area for quite a long time, how do you think the work opportunities in our area have changed over the years?
Well, we're making exactly the same money we made 30 years ago. I can say that.
Yeah.
That has not changed. But it depends. I find that there's less clubs. We used to play a lot of clubs, and now it doesn't seem like there's as many of those opportunities. But yet there are. I have to say, once again, I've been very lucky, but I've never been busier in my life than I am this summer. I've had my calendar is full of just different bands with different gigs and different kinds of parties, weddings, breweries, whatever. There's all sorts of opportunities out there for playing. If you're lucky enough to get your foot in the door, which is the tough part.
Yeah, well, having worked with you, I know you can wear a lot of musical hats. Whether it's the simplest rockabilly song or even a jazz ballad. And
I try with the jazz. I'm no Marcus Benoit, but I try. Yeah.
Well, I have not really been immersed in the world of jazz in our area for a while now. I had a good run with it in my time, but anyhow. As I get to my end of this interview part here, I want to thank you, Mike, for sharing your time and music with us at Empire Radio Sounds. I want to tell you what a pleasure it's been every time that you and I get to play and share the bandstand, whether it be the Luster Kings or BB and the drive-bys, etc. It's always a blast, man. Do you have any gigs or upcoming recording projects you want to mention before we sign off?
Good question. Well, you and I just contributed on a Mark Calkin record that sounds really good, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Nice, right?
Yeah, I'm really. Have you heard it with the horns that we added?
I heard. Sounds fantastic. Thank
you. Yeah, that was good songs.
That's the most recent. I played on my friend Leslie Barkman's album just weeks ago. That was really good. As far as recording, I don't know if I've got anything on the books right now. No, nothing right now. Gigs, the gigs just keep coming. The Hammerheads are starting to play more and more, and I've got a lot of other bands that you mentioned have gigs coming up. The Luster Kings I play with still regularly all summer. They got a nice run of gigs all year long, all summer long, I should say.
You never know who's going to be in the band.
No, you don't.
Luster Kings from night to night.
But we do this Friday gig every Friday for 2 months, July and August, and I'll get there, and it could be anybody on drums or anybody on bass. I don't never. The only constant is the big guy, Mark.
Yeah, and I'll say this: they're all wonderful, top-notch players.
Well, that's why you got you.
Great players. Well, I appreciate that, but. It's been a lot of fun. Well, again, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your time and music. And we hope to see you around town again soon.
Okay,
played
thank
in one
you,
of
Mark.
these bands, okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.